Welcome to the Mortgage Podcast, where we give tactics, strategies, and inspiration to get you to 10 plus loans per month. We talk a lot about how to make a ton of money in mortgage while also being happy and thriving in your personal life. If you want to be a mortgage millionaire, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. It's Todd Scrima. Welcome back to the Mortgage Podcast, where our big goal is to get everybody to 10 plus loans a month. So today, we're talking about wealth building. So the topic is why most loan officers will never build wealth. First of all, I don't love the negativity of how that sounds, but it is true. So there's a point where we've got to be honest with ourselves. And one of my hopes in life is to be honest and transparent at all times. So this is a wake-up call about financial habits, commissions, and real investing. And I'm going to do this as concisely as I can, so that we delve into some of the emotional reasons and then some of the tactical habits that need to be developed, and do it all in a matter of minutes. So a wise man told me once that everything we do in life, we do to honor our past or to recover from our past. Everything we do in life, the main motivation is to honor our past or to recover from our past. So how does this play out with money? And money is a great example of this, because what I have found coaching thousands of people is that how they think about money and how they were raised is how they do. So, and this can get very personal. So kind of a warning, this can get really personal. Here's some examples. I didn't grow up with much money. So when I buy stuff, it's because it makes me feel successful and rich, which is a feeling I want. So I'm going to go out and buy the $600 Gucci shoes because it makes me feel, it's a symbol that I've recovered from my past. That's said a different way. We might save money because we grew up poor and we never want to go back there. You know, Robin Lavassa, our EVP of sales, gives me, her favorite thing is to razz me about how cheap I am. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in college, I went on a date, and the date ordered, and I'm like, wow, you ordered that? She's like, yeah, it's great. English pudding. I grew up on a farm, and my grandfather went through the Great Depression. My grandfather lived up next to us on the farm. He had built 2 houses on a farm. And so I was with Grandpa all the time. Grandpa version of English pudding was we made our own bread. And so the bread goes stale in 2 days because it's got no preservatives in it. So you crumple it up. This is dessert. You crumple it up in a cup, you put milk on it, and then you put sugar on top. Oh, bread pudding. That's what not English pudding, bread pudding. So that's what I thought bread pudding was. So when my date ordered bread pudding, I'm just like scrunched up my nose like, oh my God, we had to eat that for dessert, you know, and it wasn't that good. That's a silly reference point for why I look at things differently. And to this day, I'm like, hey, you know, if I can, I don't know, last night, I went out to dinner with my girlfriend, and I just got done fasting. So it's like my first meal. And so we went to a salad place, and she ordered a fountain drink. And I said, can I share that with you? Because I didn't want to pay $2 more for a fountain drink. I wasn't that thirsty. I just wanted a couple sips. Why should I pay $2 for a fountain drink when I can sip on hers and it's refillable for free? That sounds super cheap, but to me, I saved $2. So I am that way because that's how I grew up, and I'm trying to honor my grandfather. Here's another example. We might look at our parents and think, I'm not much smarter than them, and they're not really wealthy, so I probably will never be that wealthy. That is a story that many people tell themselves. There's about 1,000 others. So what's my point? My point is the emotion of money is very different for a lot of people, and it can be understood and believed several different ways. Now, the truth is, money doesn't have any emotion. It's a piece of paper. It's digits in a bank account. It has zero emotion. We attach emotion to it. And so I want you to, that's a healthy way that will help us recover some of these thought processes around money. So then let me segue into a more tactical approach. I've had people ask me, Todd, how'd you save so much money? So I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not going to sound that exciting. I didn't sell PayPal. I didn't do things like that. Now, statistically, most people who have built wealth did it this way. Of all the wealthy people I know in the world, and I know quite a few, the only one person I ever met that got rich, he didn't really get rich quick. He worked for a company, Oracle, and he learned how cell phones work, and he left that company and he patented the computer chip
that first allowed you to text. I know that guy. His name is Andy. Andy then sold that technology to some company, I forgot who it was, for $60 million. That's the only person I ever heard of that did something like that I knew, okay? So I know there's stories about people get rich quick and all, but it's very uncommon. So most of my wealth was simply saving money and doing my personal budget every single month. Now I've done my personal budget every month. Let's see, I was 23-ish, so over 30 years. So that's a discipline because of my grandfather, I think, where he was just very disciplined around money. And when I was taught the personal budget, it made sense to me to never stop doing it. So the story goes, when I was 23-ish, I was introduced to the personal budget. And I remember it was a Saturday morning. It was nice and sunny outside. I had rested well. And I'm like, I'm going to pay all my bills. I'm going to fill out this personal budget and see what it looks like. So I spent a couple hours and I filled out my personal budget and I put all my deposits in here and all the bills that I had and checks that I wrote. I discovered how much money I saved. And it was $5,000. No, that's a lot of money. So then, we didn't have ChatGPT. Now you can just do this through ChatGPT. But I went on to websites and I said, if I just save $5,000, how much money will I have in 30 years when I'm 53? If I save, what the math said was, if I saved $5,000 for 30 years, I would have $7.5 million when I was 53, if it grew at 8%. Now, I actually didn't believe the first website, so I did it on 3 other websites, and they all said the same thing. So I say all this so that you can pick a number that you want when you retire. I'm going to show you how to calculate that number in a second, and then you can just focus on whatever that savings number is each month, and then we're going to invest it, and we're never going to touch it. Now, this is like super cliff notes, but it really is how it works. So I use a couple numbers. One is I say that money grows at 9% a year. Let me explain that. If you picked a mutual fund and you only invested in the Fortune 500 largest company, and there's several mutual funds that do this, and you picked one that didn't have much fee, and there's ones that the one I use charges 20 basis points a year is their fee. So I could put millions and millions of dollars. I don't even know how they pay for the postage stamps to send me their statements. It's super cheap, okay? So there's very little fees, and those funds have averaged over 11% over 50 years. I'm going to have you use 9%. So when I use rates of return on investments, I use 9%. And there's several different ways that you can prove to yourself that is a good average rate of return. Okay, so that's one number. The second number I use is a 5% depletion rate. What I mean by that is, okay, let's say that you're 60 years old and you want to start taking money out. How much money can you take out without over depleting your savings? I use 5%. So let me give you 2 examples. Let's say that someone did all this and they saved $5 million. 5%, $5 million you saved is $250,000. So I could live on $250,000 plus my Social Security. So, and you can go on socialsecurity.com and you can project how much you're going to get in Social Security at the time of retirement, 2, 3, 4 grand, whatever it is. And that would be what you have in retirement. So it can be more complicated than that, but it really isn't. If I had $10 million, I could take out $500,000 a year plus whatever my Social Security was, and that's what I'm going to be able to retire on. Now, of course, the goal would be, just a couple other comments, is to have your house paid off by that whatever time that is, and then hit your savings goal. Well, then you say, well, how do I hit my savings goal? You simply go on to ChatGPT using your little phone here or any of those AIs, and you say, I am 43. I'm just going to make this up. I'm 43 years old. I have $200,000 in cash assets today. How much money a month do I need to save in order to have $5 million in 30 years or in 22 years or whatever your time frame is? If the money grows at 9% compound interest just means that whatever you make on your money gets reinvested automatically. If you ask ChatGPT that question, it will tell you an exact answer. And it might say, you need to save $2,200 a month. Now, if you do research on all this stuff, and for whatever reason, money's a hobby of mine, and I've probably read it, you will find everything that I just gave you in this podcast is how it works, including how most people get wealthy is monthly accumulation. They monthly save. Unless you're going to inherit a bunch of money or you're one of a million people that invent something, that's how you're going to obtain some level of wealth. Now, before I go over my 3 rules with money, I want to say something. And this is going to sound really whacked out. It's going to sound so whacked out to you, I can't tell you. When I was younger, I was like all about saving money and becoming very wealthy. So I did all that. And then at 55 years old, I'm like, it matters a lot less than I ever thought it did. There's so many people that aren't saving much money at all, and they're super happy. For some reason, I attach money to happiness. And now that might sound kind of weird coming from me, but it's honestly how I think about it these days. So I want to preserve wealth. I want to grow wealth. I'm still into all that. It's just not that important. And you say, well, Todd, it's not important because you saved a lot. I'll give you part of that, but for sure, I will give you another part is that what I've learned is that how we feel every day and how excited about life we are and the friendships that we have and the relationships we have is what's important. It's really what brings happiness. And it's not what most people think it does today. I can't tell you, the new custom suit, I like it. I don't think about it every day and it doesn't bring me happiness, right? The Gucci shoes or the Rolex watch or all those things that are material things, they really don't mean much. And we usually are doing that because we want to feel better, but it doesn't really do that. It does temporarily, but that's not how we're going to fix not feeling great, okay? So that's just kind of something I found at money. My 3 rules, if you want to have $1 million or more. Number 1, never touch your savings. Don't ever think, oh, we'll just take some out for the pool. Don't do it. Oh, we'll just take it out. We'll loan it to my buddy to start a business. Don't do it. Don't ever touch it. Don't touch it ever, ever don't touch it until you retire. Number 2, never risk more than 10% of your money on one investment. I got lucky and I made a lot of money on Nvidia. It was a stock that I liked and it hit. It hit big. I wanted to plow so much more money into it, but I used my own rule. I'm like, hey, I may be missing out, but enough is enough, right? I scored. It's good. Let's say that someone did save $1 million and they're like, I want to start a business and it's going to take, I've got $1 million. The most you can ever touch would be 10%. Don't ever go through 10%. Over 10%. I'm telling you, this is a great rule. No one taught it to me. It's just intuitive to me. I've seen so many people save money and then it leaves them just as fast. Talked to a gentleman last night. This really happened last night. Friend of mine, invested in a business. I told him not to. He wanted me to invest in it. I looked at it. I said, no. Calls me, not going so well. I just don't think the company's going to make it. This guy invested hundreds of thousands and he's not wealthy. So I felt bad for him, but not going to work. Okay, so that 10% rule is there so that we curb our emotion. Okay. Number 3, never stop tracking it. Do your budget every single month. And if your goal is to save $2,000 and you had a month where you saved $1,000, okay, hey, I gotta make it up. I didn't have a good month. The point is not to beat yourself up. The point is not to stress about it. The point is not to not get sleep. It's just, hey, I had a miss this month. Let's see if I can do better next month. So it's not a perfect system, but if you don't track it, you just don't know. If you don't track it, you just don't know. So we talked a lot about building wealth. For loan officers, we want to get to that point, and this is why that 10 loan a month thing is important. You close 10 loans a month, make about 40 grand a month. You can save about 7 grand a month, and you'll have about $16 million when you retire. Or let's say that Todd, I'm already halfway through my career. Okay, maybe you'll have 5 or 6 million. But whatever the number is, have it in your head. How much do I need to save each month in order to hit the number? And then feel comfortable with the number and be excited about it and talk about it with your spouse. Like, these are important things. So if you think about all this holistically, guys, I think we should do a career that we really love and that we can make good money doing. And it's really that simple. All you got to track from the monetary standpoint is invest it in, some of the things that I talked about so that it gets a rate of return, and have a specific number where you can say, hey, I'm going to save this much every single month. As long as you do those 2 things, you're going to do great. Not everyone needs to retire and, have $2 billion. I don't think that at all. People have to live their own lives. I did what I did. People got to do what they do. Money is not going to make you more happy, but money will help you live a great life, and it'll help build security in your life. And I think those are a couple really good reasons why we should give it some attention every single month. So I hope that helps. I hope it rings true. If this helped you, even though someone's not in the mortgage business, feel free to maybe share this episode with them so that they can learn about money in a simple way. I tried to keep this very simple so that it just makes sense to us all. I think that life can be very complicated. Money can be very intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. And this may be one of those things where you listen to it 3-4 times to really understand what some of the principles and some of the habits that and ways of thinking that I'm asking you to get through when it comes to the big scary subject of money. I hope it helps. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day, week, month.